S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders, first published in 1967, is a landmark young adult novel about friendship, identity, and social division. The story follows Ponyboy Curtis, a teenager caught in the rivalry between the working-class greasers and the wealthier Socs. Through Ponyboy's experiences, the novel reveals the struggles and humanity that exist on both sides of the conflict. Hinton's literary style is direct, emotional, and realistic, using first-person narration to capture the voice and perspective of adolescence. The novel explores themes of class conflict, belonging, friendship, family, violence, loyalty, identity, loss, and growing up. The Outsiders remains important for its honest portrayal of teenage life and its enduring message that social labels can hide the fears, hopes, and vulnerabilities people share, regardless of where they come from. The story starts with Ponyboy Curtis walking home alone one afternoon after seeing a Paul Newman movie. His mind drifts as he thinks about Paul Newman's looks, his own greaser style, and the fact that he likes watching movies alone but does not like walking home alone. For a greaser, walking alone is dangerous. Ponyboy belongs to a poorer East Side group, while the Socs, the wealthy West Side crowd, often harass and attack greasers. Greasers wear long, oiled hair, dress tough, steal sometimes, fight often, and carry switchblades mostly to defend themselves. Ponyboy explains that he tries to stay out of trouble because his oldest brother Darry is strict with him. Their parents died in a car crash, so Darry, Ponyboy, and their middle brother Soda Pop live together only as long as they can prove they are responsible enough not to be separated. Darry is 20, strong, serious, and hard on Ponyboy. Soda Pop is 16, charming, cheerful, and deeply loved by Ponyboy. As Ponyboy walks home, a red Corvair follows him. He remembers how badly the Socs once beat Johnny Cade, one of his closest friends. 5 Socs get out, surround him, and threaten to cut his hair. They begin beating him, but Ponyboy screams, and Darry, Soda Pop, and the other greasers arrive and chase them off. Darry scolds Ponyboy for walking alone, but Soda Pop tells him to stop. Later, the boys make plans for the next night. Ponyboy, Johnny, and Dally will go to the drive-in. At home, Ponyboy reads Great Expectations and thinks about how his life resembles Pip's. Still shaken, he climbs into bed with Soda Pop and talks with him about Sandy, the girl Soda Pop hopes to marry. The next night, Ponyboy and Johnny go with Dally to the drive-in. Dally sits behind 2 Sock girls and talks crudely to embarrass them. The red-haired girl, Cherry Valance, tells him to stop. Dally keeps bothering them until Johnny, usually quiet and timid, orders him to leave the girls alone. Dally stalks away. Cherry and her friend Marcia invite Ponyboy and Johnny to sit with them. 2-Bit joins them and says Dally has slashed Tim Shepard's tires and will have to fight him. Cherry and Ponyboy go for popcorn, and Ponyboy tells her how Socs once beat Johnny. Cherry is upset and insists that not all Socs are like that. She also tells Ponyboy that Socs have problems too, though Ponyboy finds that hard to believe. As the group walks with Cherry and Marcia toward 2-Bit's house, Ponyboy and Cherry talk easily. Ponyboy tells her about Darry and admits he thinks Darry does not like him and wishes he could send him away. Johnny and 2-Bit are surprised because they thought the Curtis brothers were close. Ponyboy and Cherry discuss the differences between Socs and greasers and discover they both like reading and sunsets. They conclude that Socs hide their feelings behind coolness, while greasers feel too intensely. Ponyboy realizes that even from different sides of town, he and Cherry watch the same sunset. A blue Mustang arrives with Bob and Randy, Cherry's and Marcia's Sock boyfriends. Bob wears the heavy rings Ponyboy recognizes from Johnny's beating. The boys nearly fight, but the girls leave with their boyfriends to prevent violence. Before going, Cherry tells Ponyboy she hopes she never sees Dally again because she might fall in love with him. Ponyboy returns home late, and Darry is furious. During their argument, Darry slaps him. Shocked and hurt, Ponyboy runs out. Certain Darry does not want him. He finds Johnny in the vacant lot, and they decide to run away, at least for a while. In the park after 2 a.m, the blue Mustang appears again. Bob, Randy, and other drunken Socs confront Ponyboy and Johnny. Bob insults greasers, and Ponyboy answers back. Then a Sock holds Ponyboy's head under the cold water of the fountain until he blacks out. When Ponyboy wakes, the Socs are gone, Johnny is beside him, and Bob lies dead nearby. Johnny says he killed Bob, and Ponyboy sees Johnny's switchblade covered in blood. Terrified, the boys go to Dally for help. They find him at Buck Merrill's house, and he gives them money, a gun, clothes, and instructions. They must take a train to Windricksville and hide in an abandoned church. They follow his plan and fall asleep there, exhausted. The next morning, Johnny goes into town for supplies. He returns with bologna, cigarettes, and a copy of Gone with the Wind for Ponyboy to read aloud. Johnny decides they must cut and bleach their hair to disguise themselves. For about a week they hide in the church, smoking, eating sandwiches, reading, and talking. Johnny admires the southern gentleman in the novel and thinks they remind him of Dally, but Ponyboy finds Dally too real and frightening to be a storybook hero. Ponyboy recites Robert Frost's poem Nothing Gold Can Stay, and Johnny is moved by it. After several days, Dally comes to the church with a letter from Soda Pop. He says the police questioned him and that he told them Ponyboy and Johnny went to Texas. He takes the boys to Dairy Queen and tells them the Greasers and Socs are close to open war because of Bob's death. He also reveals that Cherry feels responsible and is now spying for the Greasers. A rumble between the groups is planned for the next day. Johnny shocks Dally by saying he wants to go home and confess. Dally tries to stop him because he does not want prison to harden Johnny the way it hardened him, but Johnny insists. He says his own parents will not care, but Ponyboy's brothers do. As Dally drives them back, they see the church on fire. Ponyboy thinks their cigarettes may have caused it, and they rush toward the building. A group of school children is on a picnic nearby, and some are trapped inside the burning church. Ponyboy and Johnny climb through a window and rescue the children one by one. Dally arrives and warns them that the roof is collapsing. Johnny pushes Ponyboy out just before the roof falls, but Johnny is trapped and screams. Ponyboy tries to go back, but Dally knocks him out to save him. Ponyboy wakes in an ambulance with a teacher named Jerry Wood. Jerry says Ponyboy's jacket saved him from worse burns. Dally will likely recover, but Johnny is badly hurt and may have broken his back. Ponyboy tells Jerry the story of Bob's death, and Jerry says Johnny acted in self-defense. At the hospital, Derry and Soda Pop arrive. Derry cries, which astonishes Ponyboy and makes him understand that Derry truly loves him and is hard on him because he wants him to have a future. Reporters and police question the boys. The doctors say Dally will be fine, but Johnny's back is broken and he may be permanently crippled if he lives. The next morning, the newspapers call Ponyboy, Johnny, and Dally heroes for saving the children, but they also say Johnny may be charged with manslaughter, and Ponyboy may have to go to juvenile court. Ponyboy worries he could be sent to a boys' home, though the others tell him his family will stay together. Ponyboy learns that Sandy is pregnant and has moved to Florida because her parents will not let her marry Soda Pop. Later, Ponyboy and 2-Bit go to the Tasty Freeze, where Randy, one of the Socs from the park, asks to talk. Randy says he will not fight in the rumble because he is sick of the violence. He describes Bob as his best friend, a good person with a terrible temper and parents who never set limits. Talking with Randy helps Ponyboy see that Socs can be frightened, grieving, and human. Ponyboy and 2-Bit visit Johnny and Dally in the hospital. Johnny is pale and weak and asks Ponyboy to finish Gone with the Wind. Johnny's mother comes, but he refuses to see her because she only criticizes him. Dally, recovering well, asks 2-Bit for his black-handled switchblade, and 2-Bit gives it to him without question. On the way home, Ponyboy and 2-Bit see Cherry. She says the Socs have agreed to fight without weapons. Ponyboy asks her to visit Johnny, but she says she cannot because Johnny killed Bob. Ponyboy calls her a traitor, but quickly forgives her, then reminds her that they both still see the same sunset. Before the rumble, Ponyboy feels sick and takes aspirin. The Greasers dress to look tough and meet the Socs. Derry begins the fight by facing Paul Holden, an old school friend and football teammate. Dally arrives just as the fight breaks out. After a long struggle, the Greasers win. Dally and Ponyboy rush to the hospital to see Johnny. Johnny is dying. He says fighting is useless, tells Ponyboy to stay gold, and dies. Dally is shattered and runs from the room. Ponyboy wanders in shock until someone gives him a ride home, noticing that his head is bleeding. At the house, Ponyboy tells the others that Johnny is dead and Dally has broken down. Dally calls to say he has robbed a grocery store and is running from the police. The gang rushes out and sees him being chased. Dally pulls his unloaded gun and the police shoot him. Ponyboy knows Dally wanted to die. Overwhelmed, he passes out. When Ponyboy wakes, Dally is beside him. Ponyboy has a concussion from being kicked in the head during the rumble and has been delirious for 3 days. After a week of bed rest, he looks at Bob's picture in Soda Pop's yearbook and thinks about Cherry and Randy. He realizes Bob was not just a sock or an enemy, but a cocky, frightened, hot-tempered human being. Randy visits and speaks clumsily about his fear of being connected to the violence. Ponyboy, still struggling mentally, insists that he killed Bob and that Johnny is still alive. Derry sends Randy away. At the court hearing, Ponyboy does not have to say much because his doctor has explained his condition. The judge asks gentle questions and allows him to stay with Derry and Soda Pop. Afterward, Ponyboy becomes numb and depressed. His grades fall, his memory and appetite worsen, and he and Derry begin fighting again. His English teacher, Mr. Syme, offers him a chance to pass if he writes a strong autobiographical theme. One day at lunch, Socs confront Ponyboy, and he threatens them with a broken bottle, refusing to be intimidated anymore. Steve and 2-Bit are alarmed, afraid he is becoming hard like Dally. They feel relieved when Ponyboy picks up the glass afterward, so no one gets a flat tire. That night, during another argument between Ponyboy and Derry, Soda Pop runs out. Derry reveals that Soda Pop is not the father of Sandy's baby, and that Sandy returned his letter unopened. Ponyboy realizes he has not been listening to Soda Pop's pain. Derry and Ponyboy find him, and Soda Pop begs them to stop tearing him apart with their fighting. They promise to try. Back home, Ponyboy opens Johnny's copy of Gone with the Wind and finds a note. Johnny tells him to stay gold and says saving the children was worth his life. Ponyboy realizes he wants to tell the story of his friends so other young people like them will not let anger blind them to the beauty still left in the world. He begins his English theme with the same words that opened the novel about stepping out of the movie house with Paul Newman and a ride home on his mind.